Good morning, everyone.
Morning, everyone.
So this is going to work a little differently than most Zoom meetings. We, as panelists, cannot see you guys. We have City of Bowie IT assisting us in the background. And so there is a question and answer choice at the bottom of your screens. I'm hoping everybody can locate their question and answer pop-up. That is how you guys are going to be able to talk with us at this meeting. We don't have a chat feature for our Zoom capabilities here. So this is the way that we can answer any questions or talk to you, answer any questions, or you guys can speak with us. So the first thing that we're going to do is have our business meeting like we would normally do. The panelists are the board of directors for CEZOA. So I am Jamie Braun, president of CEZOA. We have Alice Legary-Martinek, who is the secretary of CEZOA. Pamela Bennett from New Carrollton, she's the vice president of CEZOA. And the treasurer, Derek Daves from College Park. So, and then we have Chuck Alberton from Rockville. He's going to participate in the training session, which will be the second part of this morning. And Code Compliance Officer Dennis Murphy. He's from the City of Bowie. He's one of our rental inspectors. He will be presenting as well. And I don't think I've left anybody else off. Okay, so I see Charles Hicks says, okay, thank you. So we've got that one. That's good. Thank you, Charles. Again, welcome everybody. We're very happy to have you. I know this has been a long time coming. So hopefully we can get through this pretty smoothly and we can run through our business meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the business meeting to order. I'm going to ask us to go to the next slide. There's our welcome screen. One more. There we go. So calling the meeting to order. Like I said, we don't have a lot of things to go through because we haven't had a meeting since January. I will review the secretary's report here in just a moment, but we have the treasurer's report first. So Derek, if you could give us the update for the treasurer's report.
Good morning, everybody. Obviously, there hasn't been a whole lot of movement in the account this year because there's been a whole lot going on. So right now, the balance in the account is $26,006.86.
Okay, and I don't think that we sent, ACE was virtual this year, so we haven't had a lot going out or, a ton coming in. Hopefully we will see some differences in next year. Before we move on, what I'm going to ask is for one of the panelists, we need a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Motion to approve.
So that's
Second.
Pamela.
Yes.
And Derek second. So now, IT, is there any way to see the participants if they raise their hands? Would that be sufficient for a consensus? Okay.
Yes, you can have them raise their hands, I believe. Is that correct, Anthony?
They can raise their hand.
Yes, I see 4 people raising their hands right now.
Okay, so all in favor, can you raise your hands for me? Okay. So I think that motion passes, so we're good to go. We're going to do the secretary's report next. That one we have to put up on the screen. So if you can flip through the next, I think I need slides 8. Keep going to slide. I need slide 8, I believe. There we go. So these are the minutes from our last meeting in February that was in Bowie. And we had a meeting, well, let's go through to the next slide. So we had the treasurer's report at 26,301. We didn't have an update from MML. We had some information about the conference that was provided, but unfortunately that didn't happen. And then we talked about ACE membership cards, and we expressed they issue emails, but they don't actually issue membership cards. Next slide. Then we went to the education committee for our organization. There were no applications. We had some people volunteer for the website committee. Then Derek provided the legislative report. A lot of that didn't happen, unfortunately, because of COVID-19. Next slide. And again, we talked about the MML conference. Again, that didn't happen. And then we went through our committees, and there were no real updates. Unfortunately, there's not going to be a lot of updates for this meeting either. And again, we've all been busy and, you know, taken aback, I guess. Next slide. So we talked about the breakout sessions for some of the committees. We talked about purchasing new software for organizing CEZOA better. That did not happen. If anybody is curious, we did not end up purchasing that because we were just, we didn't do it. And then then COVID-19 hit, and we thought that it wasn't fiscally responsible. So the board decided against getting the software. We might look into it again once things get back to normal and we're having more regular meetings. So we have Matt, who volunteered to do a Facebook page for CEZOA. I haven't been able to speak with Matt, so we don't know where he is on that, but next slide. And then we talked about host meetings or host cities for the meetings, and we will talk about that again. But these were the minutes from our February meeting, and I just wanted to review them in case you guys had small screens and couldn't see them. That's the only reason I went through them that way. But now I need, again, a motion to approve the secretary's report.
I would like to motion
Yes.
to approve the secretary's report with the change under the MML conference from 2019 to 2020.
Nice second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hands for me. Raise my hand. Okay, so I think that passes. And so we're going to, if you can go back to the third slide for me. Nope, one more, sorry about that. Okay, so thank you, everyone. We're gonna move on to the secretary and treasurer are up for re-election this year. We're gonna start taking nominations, and we need to get a nominating committee. Unfortunately, in this particular, the way that we're doing this, it's difficult for people to volunteer because, again, we can't see you. And so I apologize for that. We'll be sending out an email asking for a nominating committee and see if there are any people that are interested in being the secretary or treasurer for CEZOA. I believe Derek and Alice are happy to stay on, but I can't say that with 100% certainty. Derek, are you willing to serve again as the treasurer?
Sure. Yes, I will.
Great. And Alice, are you willing to serve again as secretary?
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay. So again, we still have to have some nominations, and then we'll do the actual elections at our next meeting. So we will be sending out an email for nominations for these two positions. And then everybody will get, it'll be a mass email that you'll get from Alice within the next week. And this way we can make sure that there's nobody else that wants to participate in the board for CEZOA. The next item is Officer of the Year nominations. We did not get to do this last year. So we're looking to do this again. We know that you guys are out there doing a lot of work for our job descriptions, and so we know that there are people that need to be recognized, and we want to do that. So again, we're going to be sending out a mass email, another mass email for nominations for Officer of the Year. Instructions will come with that. And so we just wanted to mention that in our business meeting to let you guys know that's going to be coming down the road here. And I'm going to talk about renewals for our combo membership from CEZOA ACE. It's a combination membership. We're dropping our price by $10 this year because, we didn't have a ton of meetings in 2020, but we hope to have more in 2021. So it'll be $30 per person, and that renewal will be sent out as well. There's a form to fill out just for your renewals, and you'll have to have your ACE number, your ACE membership number. You should have received that last year in December or January, and it came straight from ACE. And so it would be AACE1.org, and then you will just have to put your membership number on the renewal form. And so again, it's just $30 a person this year, which I think is a great price. Hopefully that will help everybody out just a little bit here. Okay, so the last thing that I have here for the new business is emailing, training, and discussion topics. So as everybody knows, these virtual meetings are very difficult sometimes to keep people's attention, and we want to be able to have them be beneficial to everybody in the membership. So if you have discussion topics or training topics that you are interested in, or if you think that you have something that you can contribute, we are absolutely willing to put you guys as the speakers or have those topics be discussed at our meetings. So we are certainly looking for any of those topics or speakers, possible speakers. So we are hoping that you guys can send that as well. So we'll probably want to do a recap email of this meeting, and that will probably come out next week. Alice, do you think we can I think the best thing here would be a recap email, and then this way they're not getting 10 or 15 emails from us. How do you think?
Yes, I'll put everything together and send it out. We also need, besides just the ideas and suggestions, people that may be able to host. So next time we have the Zoom meeting or team meetings or however your jurisdiction would like to handle it, that would be great, because we want one sooner than later. So we're thinking January, February for the next meeting. So be thinking about if you can get something together for us to host. It's online, so it's a little bit different, but I think the next meeting will definitely be the same type of scenario where we are here online.
Agreed. And we have the host cities. I have that coming up in another slide here. Derek or Pamela, do you guys have anything to add at this point?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So next slide for us. Okay. So the next part of our agenda is the MML committees. I don't have anything from the board of directors. We have not met for quite a while. I think it's been since September was our last meeting, and not a lot of things were discussed. They talked about the fall conference. Well, that was the fall conference. So they were shifting to virtual. They're still hoping, I believe, I will stop talking about that. I'll let Pam take that one. So let me move on to the legislative committee. Derek, can you give us an update? I know you don't have much, but if you could just talk about the legislative committee for us for MML.
Sure. A few things that we have. Our next virtual meeting will be next Wednesday tonight. The big thing that's happened this year is the Director of Government Relations, Candace Donahue, retired after 20 plus years with MML. And there's going to be big shoes to fill there. She was fantastic in everything she did. They have appointed a new Director of Government Relations, that's Angelica Bailey, who has started, and we're going to meet a little meet and greet with her next week during the virtual meeting. And the big thing is, I mean, it's going to be different like it was last year with the legislature. You know, I'm not sure how much is going to get done. Highway user revenue is definitely going to be the #1 legislative committee priority this year. And we'll probably just go stick with that, trying to get the sunset removed on that. And that's obviously been a big thing for years now with that. So that's the one thing that we're focusing on at this time. And I guess we'll find out more next Wednesday on how things are progressing. That is it.
Okay. Thank you, Derek. I didn't, some of it was trailing off at the end, but I heard you say highway user funds, and
That's going to be the top priority. That's going to be the legislative priority for MML this year, is the highway user revenue.
Okay.
Getting the sunset removed and getting all that money restored. It's going to be very difficult because obviously everybody knows there's probably going to be some severe budget cuts coming throughout the state because of COVID. So I'm not sure how it's going to go, but that's what the committee's pushing for this year. That's what MML is pushing for.
And I apologize, Derek. I was sending an email just to a member at the same time. I know that you said Candace Donahue retired, but who did you say took her place? I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that.
Angelica Bailey.
Angelica Bailey.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Sure.
okay. So Convention Planning Committee, Pamela, you want to talk about the convention and what they're doing, how they're moving forward?
Okay, yes. We've had 2 meetings so far, virtual, and we're still in the planning stage. The conference dates are June 27th through 30th. That's next year, 2021. And right now we're choosing between speakers. We're trying to decide on a speaker. We've narrowed it down to 4. Actually we've narrowed it down to 2. It was from the 4 we picked, we narrowed it down to 2. So we'll decide that at the next meeting, who's going to be the speaker. We're also in the process of choosing a theme for the conference. And it looks like it's going to be virtual again. We're not sure. They're trying to decide if there's any way possible that we can come in person to the MML meeting or conference. They're thinking about different options, like having, out of the 3 days, having people come down. You register. You can only register for 1 day. And that way not everybody will be coming down together. But they didn't want to make it a mayor's conference where only the mayor can come and nobody else can come. So, we're still trying to figure that out. And so, they're trying to come up with different options. They're trying to come up with what they would do if they do have it in person, how we would do lunch. They were thinking about bag lunches as an option. So And that's basically it. You know, they don't want everyone come down on at the same time if the virus is still going to be, you know, in effect, or, you know,
Prevalent.
yeah. So basically that's it. We have one more meeting in January. We may have to have another one after that, but we have our next meeting is in January, and I think we'll finalize everything at that time, decided on a speaker, and whether it's going to be virtual or not, and theme, and all the other stuff that we've discussed. So, you know, just stay tuned. And again, put the dates down. It's going to be June 27th through 30th of next year. And then, you know, we'll get back with you as to how it's going to be, whether it's going to be virtual, or if you'll be able to come maybe in person for maybe 1 day or 2 days. And then that way, hopefully it'll be a lot cheaper as well. Because I know this year it was way low, like half price. So hopefully this year will be the same thing.
Yeah, similar to the eighth conference when
Yeah.
that was a lovely thing. I had 3 people attend, and it was wonderful to be able to attend. I hope they do it again, because you know, people from all over the country can come virtually. That's much easier. So
Yes, so if anyone did not come to the, if you did not sign up for the ACE conference this year, please be sure to sign up next year. It's way cheaper than having to go in person if it's going to be virtual. And it was very educational. We learned a lot of stuff, and always remember that the ACE conference is the one out of 2 conferences that's geared towards code enforcement and code enforcement focused. So it was, you know, we learned a lot of great stuff. You know, perhaps your employer will allow you to take it from home, you know, if you're given that option. But it's, you know, if you missed it, you missed a lot. So try to be able to come or to do it virtual next year.
agreed. And because they are partnered with ICC,
Yeah.
it's continuing education credits. You can
Yes.
pretty much earn all of your continuing education credits in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's so, like I said, I expressed my opinion multiple times to every speaker I could that, you know, I hope they continue this virtual option, even if they do an in-person conference. I hope they have some virtual options, because it was so very beneficial. I agree with Pamela 100%. I hope that a lot of you who wouldn't normally be able to attend were able to attend this year. But again, it was kind of, you know, I guess it wasn't really last minute, but it was one of those, do we have the budget for it, right? Because of every city is going through, you know, financial constraints. So we completely understand. That's why we have that education grant program through CEZOA.
Exactly. Yeah, you can apply for that as well.
Exactly. So, okay. I didn't get in touch with Bob about the Hometown Emergency Preparedness Committee. I expect they are still meeting. Derek, do you have any information from Bob about?
Yeah, I have Bob on the phone. He said he tried to get in to communicate, but he can't communicate.
Right.
I guess from his Zoom. So let me see.
Typing.
Give me a second here and see if I can put his phone up here and see if it'll connect into my microphone. To see. Give me a second here.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He did sign up, so.
Go ahead, Bob. See if that'll work.
Okay, hi. For some reason, I don't have a normal Zoom screen. I don't have audio or video control on the screen. So just really quick, the April committee has met 3 times. We started to brainstorm topics for this year, and we had focused on 2, cybersecurity and civil unrest. Tom Reynolds took that to the convention committee, and those topics have not been selected for the convention. So we have created 2 subcommittees on those topics, again, cybersecurity and civil unrest. And so the subcommittees are working on options for this year, either articles in the MML webpage or the magazine. And we're waiting to hear if there's any change in the convention program. If not, we may look at trying to get on the fall conference. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. Some people were saying turn down the speaker and tell Bob to turn off his Zoom. Hopefully, I was able to hear most of it, I believe. And so there's two topics that they're discussing in hometown emergency preparedness. That is cybersecurity and civil unrest. And Tom Reynolds took that to the convention planning committee. Is that what I heard correctly, Derek? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And so they're working on making that part of the convention for the summer. And then they will continue to work forward on that. If just in case it was disconnected. So I'm getting a message from our IT department that some of you guys are raising your hands, and we unfortunately can't allow you to speak right now. If you could use that question and answer section, it's if you hover or start moving your mouse over in your Zoom screen, on the bottom there's a section that says Q&A. If you click on that, it'll bring up a window and you can ask a question there. Okay. Let me try it this way first, Todd, and I did get your message. So I'm not seeing any questions and answers coming in quite this moment. Okay. So let me go to this. Todd, how many people have their hands raised? Technical difficulty, well, not difficulties, it's just new for us, everyone. So I appreciate your patience with us. We're working through all of these wonderful things. Okay, so none at the moment. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. Okay, so next slide for the, we should be able to finish here quickly. Okay, so I don't have an ACE report right this moment. I did not get a hold of Marjorie. I didn't, unfortunately, get a chance to try to get a hold of her. And so I'm not sure if we have an update from ACE other than what we already talked about. The ACE conference was very successful. I think they had about 200 participants. I think that's what they had said. So, but again, we're going to be doing our renewals. So we'll all be parts or members of ACE as well as CEZOA. So going to these active committee reports, again, because of the pandemic and how many we've not been able to have meetings, these committees are kind of dormant, I'll say, at this point. When we get back to some normalcy and we know what's happening with the convention for the MML conference, we can, start up these committees again. And we will certainly contact everybody who's part of the members on these committees. But at this point, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Like I said, I don't believe anybody has any additions. If anybody does, please feel free to put a comment in that question and answer section. And if you raise your hand, I can certainly, we can have, see if you guys, we can make, excuse me, allow you to speak. So, and then so let me go to the next slide, which I think is a final part of our business meeting. Yes. So I put this in, if we're having in-person conferences by summer 2021, so July, August, or September, we're going to go back to hopefully where we were a year ago. We were supposed to go to Chesapeake Beach, then have a DeGrace, and then we need to get a volunteer for our winter 2022. So that'll be January, February, March of 2022. Hopefully this will be well behind us by then. And so I can, if somebody can volunteer their city possibly, but I completely understand if we don't have anybody, because again, this is so far in advance. If anybody wants to volunteer, please put that into the question and answer section here. And that would be, does any of the board members have anything to add? Alice, do you have anything to add for our business meeting?
No, not at the moment. Just also know that until next year, hopefully we will be able to resume in person. We are looking for hosts for our next meeting, and we want to, like I said, just reminder, have it in January or February of next year. So please, anything that we can do for you. Anything you can do for us also, and having this meeting, and we will help you get a guest speaker or come up with a topic, anything you need.
And very good point. Thank you, Alice. So Mary Emmerich from Annapolis has asked us if we can get the certificates from the February 2020 meeting in Bowie emailed to them, and the same for this meeting. So we have to get this approved by ACE for continuing education credits. I don't know if Alice was able to do that before today. Everything was kind of crazy for us. So, and then when it comes to certificates being emailed, Alice, can you elaborate on that?
I can do the certificates, and maybe a blank document that you will have to put your own name in, but it will say how many CEU hours, and it will also have, that it is ICC certified, and you would have to, add your name and print it out yourself. But as far as doing them like I normally do, that would be, I would have to scan them in and then email them. So I could do it that way if that's okay with everybody.
Okay, so I don't see any responses, but we will do our best to get you guys your certificate information. And I think that, yep, I've got a couple comments saying that would work. So we're just going to have to look through the attendance and make sure that only the people that were, attending get the certificates, and we can absolutely, go through that. And that's why we have the sign-up sheet. So we'll have to figure out how that works for this meeting as well. We will make sure that we get with our IT department to make sure that we have everybody who is in attendance, their name and their email address, so that we can get you certificates for this meeting. Again, once we get the CEUs approved by ACE. Derek, do you have anything to add before we end the meeting?
Nope. Good to go.
Pamela, do you have anything to add? I can't see you, I'm sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, no, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Okay, well, I think I don't know if I actually need a motion to adjourn, but I'm just going to adjourn the business meeting part. If we can, one more slide, I think. Or no, I'm sorry, we need to go to slide 14, I think it is, where it says, take a break. There we go. All right, everybody take about a 5-minute break before we get to the inspection training session. We'll meet you back here at 9:50. Thanks, everyone. How cute. Todd and Anthony, do you have to record at this point? Or you know what, I-
So we had to come up with a solution to protect the public as well as our inspectors as well. So next slide. And please feel free to ask questions at any time. I do have on our slides areas where we will stop and we will actually answer the questions during the presentation. So we are lucky that we were able to get extra phones that we actually hand off to the resident. So not only do our inspectors have a phone, but we have an extra phone that they hand off to the tenants, the managers, the owners of the property. So we don't have to worry about if they have the capability or the technology to do the inspections. So we are using the city issued iPhones. Interior inspections are completed using FaceTime interactive video, calling between owners, tenants, and city rental inspection officers. So this is just a picture of kind of equipment that we use, our iPhones. Next slide. Are there any questions so far?
I don't see any questions in the question and answer section. And I'm not sure if we have any hands raised, but I will jump in the next time if we do have some hands raised.
Okay. And Dennis, don't forget to jump in when you need to talk, okay?
Anybody needs to talk to me, I'm right here.
Well, you're supposed to be interjecting as well, sir.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
next slide. All right. So the scheduling portion, what we are doing is sending out notices prior to scheduling, giving them the new rules of how these inspections are going to do. And not only that, but it causes another scenario where an inspection that may have taken 15, 20 minutes prior because we were actually going in, we knew exactly what we were looking for, it's now taking a little bit longer. So now we have single family houses and townhouses are scheduled with 1 hour between inspection times, and condominiums are scheduled within 30 minutes between inspection times. Would you say that's true? And you need to add anything, Dennis?
Well, part of the process that we've had to extend the time is because we have to clean the equipment between the inspections. So that's added a little bit to it. Plus, you have to give the instructions to the tenant, even though they get a letter basically outlining what we're going to do. You still have to provide them with some basic information and go over the process with them.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. So the notification of inspection date and time are in the form of a letter that explains the virtual inspection process and expectations. These are mailed to the owner, manager, and tenant at least 10 days prior before the inspection. On the day of the inspection, if the inspector attempts to go to the inspection and they will call, if no one is available, no one's there, then they post a postcard. This is just a picture of a sample of the postcards that we will leave in the door with filled out with the date and time we were there, and that they're responsible to calling to reschedule. If a property misses 3 inspection times, the license can be revoked and enforcement action begins. Anything you want to say on that, Dennis?
No.
Next slide. This is a copy of the letter that we are sending out prior to let the tenants, the owners, the manager, property managers know what we will be doing once we get there.
I've got a couple of questions. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
But so they're the same, basically the same question. Are inspectors on site at the property to be inspected and then provide the phone to the landlord or tenant?
Dennis?
Yes, we actually arrive at go to the property that's to be inspected. Later on in you'll see, I provide them with a inspection kit that includes a thermometer, an extension pole, a pen, a rental checklist, an iPhone. We have an extra iPhone, and my business card. And once they get these items, I explain to them how to use them. I have some flashcards that go along with them. Try to make it as simple as possible. I do not go into the building. I typically pass off the clear plastic bag to them. I either hang it on the doorknob or sometimes they'll take it from me. And if they have problems with the phone, because of the plastic, I can actually turn the phone on for them and put it on FaceTime before I actually hand them the phone. So when they enter the residence, go back, return inside the residence, the phone's already operating. So all they have to do is just talk to me and look for the things that I asked them to look for. Okay, hopefully that answers the question.
Actually, that answers both questions.
So, and I'm long-winded, so you want to tell me shut up, please.
You know we will, Dennis. You know we will. No.
We have one more question about the cost of the service plan and the device. We're not 100% sure of that right this moment. I don't have specifics about device cost and the service plan. I imagine it's I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Next slide. Okay, so we just did the questions. But all right, so the inspection tools. The city will provide the following tools and equipment. All items provided during inspection will be cleaned, sanitized, and placed in a new disposable bag by the inspector between each inspection. Next slide. This is just a portion of the card that Dennis shows the tenant, owner, property manager. When he gets there, this is just a little bit of the thermo gun that we use to check some temperatures. And then he will explain it to the tenant or whomever is there for the inspection at that time. Next slide. And this is the extension pole that's also in the kit. This is used to, touch on the ceiling so they can check the smoke detectors. Next slide, please. Okay, the inspection tools required for office use will be the iPhone, sanitizing wipes or disinfectant cleaner, disposable bags, disposable or cleanable gloves, and mask. Next slide. Any questions or anything so far about these last 2 items?
So I do have Tim Grattan from, gosh, I can't remember. Darn it. Anyway, he's got his hand up. Can we let him speak for a second? Oh, he would just put his hand down. So I think he thinks that was a mistake. I'm sorry. Nope, nothing else except a comment that's a cold fridge.
All right. Next slide, please. Okay. Dennis, do you want to explain this, what this is?
This is the trunk of my car. On the left, you will notice the plastic bags where I dispose of them. I have a little tray there, a little white tray, and as I come back from doing the inspection, I will empty that bag into the white tray. I have some cleaner there in the yellow topped sprayer. I also have my wipes over here on the left. You can see those and what I'll do is I put everything in the I turn over the bag, dump everything right into the tray. I have some disposable gloves. I then go about cleaning the equipment. And as you can see, if you notice the phone, underneath the phone, there's some more disposable bags there. As I clean each item, they go right into a new bag. On the clipboard, I have my inspection checklist. So everything, it looks like disorganized, but it's very organized for me. And then in this bag here, I have extra supplies. So what I would do is when I return to the trunk of my car, everything gets dumped into the white bucket. It gets cleaned and sanitized and placed into a new bag. And I'm ready to go for the next inspection. So that's what that is.
Okay, next slide.
Okay. As you can see right here, cleaning the equipment, I've using got my gloves on. I've got the thermo gun. I'm wiping that down, and then I'll put that into a new bag. Also, these old bags is what I use to dispose the previous bag in. And you can see right here on the right-hand side, you see the cleaner. I use that on the extension pole and the thermo gun's handle. And you see the phone in the little bucket there. And you also see the flashcards that I have. I don't know if you noticed that the flashcards are there, but I also wipe them down between inspections. I have my hand cleaner in a box in the back, and after I take my gloves off, I clean my hands, and I'm ready to go, ready for the next inspection. So, you know, I don't want to take anything home to my family, and I certainly don't want to pass anything on to anybody else's family. So I'm very conscientious about making sure that these items are cleaned and ready to go for the next person. Okay.
Next slide.
All right. Any questions?
That's just a picture of the Lysol sanitizing wipes that we use. We also have a spray cleaner. I believe it's 409 that we use
It's
for different things as well.
now it's getting cold out, so I'm gonna have to make space in my inside the interior of the car because these items, it's going to be a little chilly out back here shortly. So while it looks disorganized, it's very organized for me. Okay.
Next slide. The inspection tools required for field use is another iPhone. So like I said, each rental inspector has 2 phones, one to give the tenant and one that they use. The infrared laser pointer, the smoke detector testing pole, the inspection checklist on plastic clipboard, carbon monoxide smoke detector information sheet, and a pen. Next slide. This should be our video. This is just a little video. Sorry about, it was a windy day, so.
Very windy day.
I guess we're not, we don't have video.
The audio.
No,
But that's the inspection checklist. We have the the extension pole for the smoke alarms.
Mhm.
There's our additional iPhone. And one thing interesting is with the plastic bag, I can activate the iPhone. And so when they actually take it into the house, it's already working on FaceTime.
Gave him a pen. The thermo gun. And he also has his business card in there as well.
IT is working on the,
Yeah, I think it's there now.
It identifies the different items and shows you what they're used for. Also, I have pictures of various smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms that with the pressure points where they check them. And I also have, this is the picture of the hot water heater. This is the extension valve that has to be on the pressure release valve, discharge pipe, so that there's no, if there's an accident, that it's a safe accident. Okay.
If it's going to be an accident, it should be safe.
So those are the cards that he was talking about that he gives to each during each rental inspection, that he also wipes down in between every inspection before he hands them off. Okay,
got a couple of questions.
sure.
Would you be able to provide a sample of the flashcards, if not photos and PDF?
Sure.
Yes. Hmm.
And the inspection checklist?
Yes.
And one person has asked, why are you giving them a pen?
Because of the inspection checklist, so they can fill it out just in case they don't have one readily available, then they don't have to go in search of it, since there is time limitations now.
And so, and I will say, it's amazing how many people can't find a pen in their own house. I'm just saying. I have one more question. Do you ever have the need to provide the landlord tenant with a flashlight?
I have a flashlight available if they ask for one. Generally, I've not really had a need to provide them with one. The the iPhone has a flashlight on it, so if they need to activate it, I can I can explain that to them.
The last comment was, I think we should wear a contamination suit with shoe covers and change gloves between each unit.
I'll answer that. I am not going into the building. I'm staying 6 feet away generally. I have shoe covers available, and I do change my gloves. And as far as a contamination suit, I don't get that close enough that they're porous material. I don't, I'm not getting any fluids on me. I'm certainly not interacting that closely with the tenants or the owners. And I do change my clothes when I get home every day and stop off in the garage and get rid of them before I go into the house. So I'm trying to keep everything as simple as possible, but as safe as possible. Okay.
And the last question for now is, how long are inspections again?
Well, the single family homes, we've decided that an hour between inspections is optimum. And what happens is a lot of the houses in Bowie are cookie cutter houses where they're absolutely the same. So you're very familiar with them. So I can guide people through the inspection and show them, the spots that I'm primarily concerned with, the things that I think that particular house usually has a concern with, say, leaks or things like that. Depending on the how well a person can use the iPhone, that also depends on that also helps get the inspection going along quite well. I had two sisters, elderly sisters, one day that I took every bit of an hour to walk them through the inspection. All right. By the end of the inspection, we were great friends. Then I had a contractor one day that not only did he have the iPhone, he just renovated the house and he just went through everything fairly quickly. So you do need that time because you don't know what you're going to run into when you get to the site. And the other thing is that you do have to properly clean everything afterwards. And then it's, you know, you keep, you know, some houses the minimum I've been able to do one is in 20 minutes. Okay. Usually they're about 45 minutes. And that little extra time gives me the breathing space in case I have more questions to answer. Okay. Hopefully that answers the question.
Next screen, please. Okay, city staff will maintain social distancing of 6 foot or more and wear protective apparel or equipment at all times while on the rental property. So as Dennis was mentioning, we definitely wear masks and gloves at all times when we are on the properties. Next slide, please. Here's another little video.
Good morning. I'm Mr. Murphy with the City of Bowie. We're going to do your rental inspection. Okay, we're going to do a virtual inspection, and I'd like to give you the bag. Okay. Now, inside the bag, you'll find a iPhone. I'm going to give you a few minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and call you on an iPhone. What I'm going to ask you to do is basically there's an inspection checklist in there. All right. Yes. Okay. So you fill out your name, address, telephone number, how many people reside here, and then you go through the checklist and the items on there you go ahead and check. All right. The extension pole, if you see this right here with the red handle, go ahead and pull it out. That's what we're going to use to check our smoke alarms and our carbon monoxide alarms. Okay. This is the gun right there. Is we're going to check your hot water and the temperature in your refrigerators. Okay. And these are various types of smoke alarms on the back. These are the different pressure points you might find, and I'd like you to check those. And what you'll do is you simply use that stick to press the button, and we're good to go. Also, when you get into your laundry, this is a picture of your hot water heater. I want you to make sure the pressure relief valve is installed with an extension pipe. Okay? So what we're going to do is we'll let you go inside, get settled, and I'll give you a call on FaceTime. Okay? Thank you so much. All right. How is it doing so far? Now, once I get in touch with her, we don't need to do the whole inspection.
Yes, we were, he had already done the inspection previous, so we had a resident that was nice enough for us to come back and do a little video for you guys. So normally he would be interacting with the resident at this time via FaceTime on the iPhones.
Calling in on FaceTime. All right. She should pick up. There we go. And as you can see, it's easily connected. And Monifa, is that your name?
Okay, that's the end of that video. Next slide, please. Any
Perfect.
questions at this point?
We do. Do you inspect apartment buildings or condo buildings in Bowie? And if so, do you enter those buildings?
We do, we have not started the apartment buildings as yet. We're still working on a process to do that in a safe way. They're like beehives. So it's, you don't want to spread around in there. So we're working on that. As far as the condos, Yes, but again, I only enter the common area in the condominium. I do not go in any of the buildings. I do not go into the units themselves. So we are inspecting condos. And we're working on a process to put together a inspection process for the apartment buildings. But the condos are treated in a similar manner to the single families. We meet the person at the door. We leave the inspection materials for them, go through the process with them, and they're done. So the next question.
Why wouldn't you do the virtual with resident or owner via smartphone and have them provide their own phones and means for testing the smokes, etc., and can still walk through the process, saves time and money and safety materials? Arlington, Virginia does all their trade inspections via smartphone or tablet, and saving time, money, and can just be, and and can be just as efficient.
All right, so we're fortunate in the city of Bowie that we had the availability of the iPhone, which is a smartphone that provided us with the FaceTime. We're utilizing the materials that we had on hand. We haven't gone out and purchased any additional equipment to complete our inspections. As far as the tenants doing the inspections, there's quite a few benefits based on their doing the inspections. First, they're getting a better idea of what's going on in their houses. They know that we're there to care about them. The other thing, one of the big benefits is that the tenants, before when we showed up, you're just a nameless, faceless person walking through their house, invading their privacy for a few minutes. Now they actually see why you're here and what you're doing and the benefit that it can to them. Also, for the owner, it also you're educating the tenant a little bit better, so that say if there's a minor situation, they're more likely to call the tenant to get it fixed. So for us in the city of Bowie, the cost effectiveness is, in my opinion, negligible because we did have the equipment available and we are utilizing the availability of our own equipment. Okay, being redundant, but that's what I do. There you go.
Okay. When you do inspections virtually or on site, and we understand you're not doing them on site, right? Or meaning not inside, and you find the house to be unsanitary or extremely filthy, do you cite the property?
If the inspection reveals that, absolutely. That's one of the things that as they're walking through doing the inspections, you can get a good feel for how well the house is maintained. The screen's only 4 inches by 2.5, so the reality is that you will miss things. I mean, you're not going to see everything, and you're dependent on the tenant to show you. So that's why you guide them through. You ask them to go through the bathroom. You ask them to show you the bathtub. You ask them to show them the tile floor, the walls. You ask them to show them the sinks. So they have the ability to hide something if they want. I have not run across that as of yet. I have written people up on sanitary issues based on these inspections, based what I've seen on these inspections. I've also written them up on egress problems. So they may not see the same things that I'm looking at, but in general, the tenants are not trying to hide anything from us during these inspections.
Okay, and we had a comment about recording.
Chuck, do you want to talk about the recording?
My staff do not record the inspections. Actually, our letter that we send out actually states that there's nothing being recorded. That's so if there's something that the tenant doesn't want shown around the world, it's not. So to respect their privacy, we don't record anything. I hate to see somebody have a Picasso on the wall and then somebody get hold of that footage and go get it.
Yeah, we don't record anything. And also at the end of the inspection, if I see something that needs to be, we need to take a picture of, we have the tenant go ahead and take a picture on that phone so it's easily downloaded when I get back to the office as part of the report. So.
We have a comment that says you can't record on FaceTime. I didn't know that.
According to the young ladies up at our front desk that are much more astute than I am, they did. They showed me how to, I don't know if you can do it or I can do it, but they apparently were able to do it.
Yeah, and for us, we just want to make sure everybody comfortable knowing that we're not recording, whatever platform we're using. They just know it's not being recorded.
Yeah, I'm not interested in recording anything. It's a personal space. Just health, safety, and welfare. If they have an issue, we're there to help them with it, and that's our primary concern. And I think the renters that have first-time renters may feel some anxiety about it, but the ones that have been there and the city of Bowie has a good reputation with its inspectors for being responsible and working with the tenants and the owners to get repairs done. So we're generally welcome when we show up.
Okay. What is the reason for going to the rental property rather than just calling the tenant via FaceTime?
Well, one of the primary reasons is that when you show up and you're there at the front door, they know that you're actually concerned about their welfare. I mean, it's a huge thing that, instead of a nameless, faceless society, they actually have somebody that's coming there that may benefit them. The other benefit is that we can do an exterior inspection while they're inside doing the walk around. I'm actually can view the exterior of the property and pick up on like mosquito dumps or abandoned cars or inoperative vehicles and things like that, or missing shingles. So it's a twofold. You want to look at the interior, but you're also doing the inspection on the exterior at the same time. But the big benefit is that the tenants and the owners, they know that the city of Bowie is here because hopefully they think that we're concerned for them. We're not just collecting their taxes and their rental fees.
Okay. What percentage of properties do you generally find that the properties are in violation?
Well, I will tell you that percentage-wise, I would say probably 75, maybe 25% have violations. And what I've talked to Skip, the other inspector, that what we're doing is we're doing a tandem. I come in at 7:30 and start inspections as early as 8. Skip comes in at noon and does them as late as 7 in the evening. So we've got a 24-hour period that we're doing these inspections. And we talk back and forth. And one of the things we've noticed is that the violations are not as prevalent as they were when we were doing the inspections on our own, because when we're walking around, we pick up on things like a transition piece that might be out of place. They may not care about it. The tenant may not be concerned about it. Or there might be I'm just using examples, a cabinet door that needs to be replaced, or the door is not closing properly. That we're not actually operating that door or turning on that stove or running the faucets to see if there's any leaks underneath the sink. We're relying on them to provide us with that information. So what we normally see, we're not seeing completely, but the tenant is providing us with a inspection checklist that generally their concerns are being addressed on that checklist. So yes, about 25% or better have violations. A lot less since we've been doing the virtual inspections, but you know, the tenant is a little bit more control over what we're writing up. But hopefully, okay.
Okay. How is the proper cleaning of the equipment regulated? Is it the health department? And what if it's not clean property? Would that open the city to liability issues should someone be infected?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I clean those items as if they're going to go right into my house. Okay. I've experienced as a EMT and a firefighter in the proper cleaning of equipment. So I don't really have much oversight. I've talked to my supervisors about the way I'm doing it. They're satisfied that it's being done in a proper manner. I would not feel right with myself if I did not provide the best possible equipment to the people that are using them. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure these are cleaned. I use the tools they've given me, and I do a thorough job of it before I turn them over to the next person. I would pass them off to my wife or my mother-in-law. So, especially my mother-in-law. No.
So then we have how many licensed rental units in Bowie? I actually have this answer. We have just over 1,400 single family rentals, and then we have just under 2,000 apartment units. And like Mr. Murphy said, we're not inspecting the apartment units at this time. It's not safe enough, but the single families we are getting done. And so the next question is, can you ask tenants to take pictures of violations you observe during the FaceTime and send them to you after the inspection is over?
Absolutely. They actually have the iPhone that we've provided with them, and after the inspection, I have them take pictures of the violations. When I come back to City Hall, I actually have the camera with me, and I'm able to download the pictures right then and there. So, and add them to the case. So it works out.
Yeah, that's the benefit of having a city issued one, right?
Yeah, like I say, I can't overemphasize how important it is that we have the ability to do that. You know, with a lot of times, because it's in this clear plastic bag, I can actually punch in the code numbers, slide it for them, turn it on, and when they walk in, I've got to get away from them because the squelch is terrible. But once I get a little bit of a distance, even if they're not familiar with using the iPhone, the camera is on and I'm watching what they're doing, and then I can give them a tour, room by room tour the facility. So. Okay.
So we've got a comment that somebody has to wear a body camera all the time due to disputes of what was said. And I'm guessing they work for a city that's probably under the police department where they can have body cameras that are probably, not too expensive. I know that I looked into that if that was something that we wanted to consider, and we just don't have the necessity for it here in Bowie. Thankfully, many of our residents are very accepting, and we haven't had issues like that. So thankfully, we don't have to do that. What someone's asking if a copy of this training will be provided. I will check with IT and find that out for you. And the next question is, have you considered putting a pair of disposable gloves in the clear plastic bags for tenants to use prior to using your equipment, or is that redundant given that you clean everything?
It's a very good thought. I'll be quite honest with you. Most tenants come to the door masked, and many of them already have gloves on. Okay. I do have additional disposable gloves. I think that's a very good idea for me to ask them if they would like disposable gloves. I'm hesitant to put the gloves in the bag because they're going to touch them and then they wouldn't be good for anybody else after that. But if they did ask for a set of gloves, I have extra mask and I have extra gloves in my vehicle, and they're more than welcome to have them. But in general, most everybody shows up. They have their mask on. Many people have gloves on, and usually I'll leave the bag, because it's got the 2 little holes in it on the door handle so they can get it, and away we go. So, okay.
Just realized I didn't mute. I hope you all didn't hear me typing away. Last question for now is, have you ever had a tenant or owner refuse to do a virtual inspection?
As of yet, I have not. I've had some of them hesitant because they are unfamiliar with what you're doing. They're suspect that, as Chuck mentioned earlier, they may be recording these things. When I do have that, what I've done is I've provided them initially with the, inspection checklist, asked them to go over the inspection checklist. And once they read that inspection checklist, they all of a sudden realize, well, this is for my benefit. Sure, we'll let you do the virtual inspection. And I try to reassure them that anything that's being done is between us, the tenant, and the owner. So no, I have not had anybody refuse an inspection. Based on that, I have for other reasons, but not for the virtual. Okay. All right.
Okay, hang on one second. I'm sorry. Let's see. I've got one. Oopsie.
And just so everybody knows, the city of Rockville has not anybody actually refuse to perform the inspection. We've had people ask if they can postpone it until later, and we did that for a little while, but now it's like, no, it's got to get done. So, and at that point, there's no complaint.
Yeah, I would agree that you know, that they're not turning us away.
Okay, the rest of the questions I can answer while you go through the next part. Go ahead.
Okay, next slide, please. Conducting inspection questions for the owner tenant. So these are the questions that our rental inspectors ask when they go up to the door. Have you or anyone occupying this property tested positive for COVID-19, feel sick, or have had a fever within the last 14 days? If no, proceed to question 2. If yes, explain the inspection must be rescheduled and provide the respondent with an inspection rescheduling postcard. That would be that pink colored postcard that I had a picture of earlier on a slide. Are you familiar? And they will ask then, are you familiar with the iPhone and FaceTime? And if not, is there someone on site who can operate the phone? Are you comfortable being a participant? The inspection in this manner. So they do ask if they're okay with everything, and if it's somebody that is not tech savvy, is there somebody else there that will be able to use the iPhone FaceTime to get them acquainted with it? Anything else you would like to say on that, Dennis, or go to the next slide?
And go to the next slide.
All right. The inspector will provide the respondent with the inspection kit, which we've already talked about earlier. Excuse me. And then the inspector will review the rental inspection checklist, and we will have slides that show what our rental inspection checklist is. And then Mr. Alberton is also at the end of our presentation going to show, share his inspection checklist as well. So these are just some of the things that they are checking. They want them to check that are listed here. Next slide, please.
And may I interject one thing here?
Sure.
After I've given them an inspection checklist, I have a clipboard with me generally that I have a copy of that checklist. So I can go line by line with them if they have any questions about it. So, sometimes they do have questions, sometimes they don't, but, so they're not alone in the process of going through this checklist. I'm right there with them.
Mhm.
Okay. So,
And to be able to see the inspection checklist is broken down on several slides. So we're just going to go through this, and if you have any questions afterwards. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Good. Thank you. So any questions about anything before we go on to listen to Mr. Opperton speak from Rockville?
Yes. Do you have a threshold where the property appears to be involved or too many violations? And an in-person inspection would be more appropriate. Follow up, how do you handle if you feel someone is hiding something?
well, what I would say is that most tenants are fairly honest in their assessment of the property. They do want to live in a well-maintained environment. I generally don't, how can I explain it? Don't get the feeling that I'm being played here by the tenants, because they don't want most tenants want their things taken care of. Now, I will show you this one inspection checklist. If you can see this, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but every item on here failed, and she found fault with every item on here. So I had to bring this back to City Hall and reassess it, and talk to the property manager and talk to the tenant, because a lot of the expectations that she had for that property were not covered by the city code. So occasionally you'll have someone go off the, if you want to call it, go a little overboard, but I've not had anybody try to hide anything from me per se. It's just the opposite. Given the opportunity, when they look at that inspection checklist and see what we're looking for, most people will come forward with the items that they feel that should be repaired.
At this point in time, the city of Rockville hasn't come across a property that had such egregious violations that it warranted a return visit. If we find something that needs to be fixed, we'll send them a notice and then do a video re-inspection. But at this point, nothing so bad that we need to go back in, actually physically go in. But if we have to, we'll do it.
Yeah,
We'll
I
schedule
agree.
it, and we'll do what we got to do to get in and wear the gear and go in.
So we have a couple of people, and I'm sorry, Mr. Diaz, what we're going to do is he would like to view the inspection sheets. We'll share our inspection checklist when we send the wrap up of this meeting next week. We'll share the inspection checklist that the city of Bowie uses. We'll share it in a Word version, so you guys can just do however what you'd like with it. And then the last comment is, this is why the inspector has to do the inspections, because we are licensed and certified.
Yes, and Chuck, is it okay if we share your checklist as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I
That's-
just want to make sure
yeah.
before I send it out. Thank you.
Yes, and anything I gave you, you can send out.
Okay.
You gonna roll
Nothing
right
more.
into my presentation?
Yes, I believe so. Next slide.
Okay, sorry.
Interior inspection. I thought that was the end of it. Sorry. So this is just, again, some of the interior inspection items that we are looking for. Next slide. And as Dennis mentioned, we also look at the exterior. So those are some of the things that the rental inspectors are looking for. Next slide. And this just goes over how, what we do with the inspection reports and if we need re-inspections. So the officers will come back to City Hall, they will put in their data, and they will mail out the copies of regular mail. And then the re-inspections are scheduled by calling the tenant, the owner manager, to arrange subsequent virtual inspections if needed. Next slide. Okay, so I believe the next one, next slide. Okay, so now Mr. Chuck Alberton from the City of Rockville is going to go and do his presentation on what the City of Rockville is doing for these virtual rental inspections at this time. All right, thank you, Mr. Alberton.
All right. Good morning, everyone. This morning I was talking to my wife to let her know that I had this presentation today, and she says, "Well, how long are you going to take?" I said, "Well, if I go slow, 5 minutes." So I don't think we're going to be here very long. We're all looking for the same things in houses. Most of us are probably doing virtual inspections now. But let me get into my introduction. Again, my name is Chuck Alberton with the City of Rockville. I'm the code enforcement supervisor here for the city. Our unit right now is housed in the Planning and Development Services Department. I have a staff of 5, so there's myself and 5 full-time inspectors. For myself, I've got 20 years of inspection, well, as an inspector here for the city. Just finished my 20th year, and I've been the supervisor for about 2 years now. The city of Rockville is approximately 14 square miles. We have a population of about 70,000 residents. As of yesterday, we had 2,042 rental units. These include single-family homes, condos, short-term rentals, accessory dwelling units, and such. We have 10,000 individual apartment units, so 10,000 apartments, and we have 10 hotels. All of these get inspected at least every other year. With our apartments, we do 20% a year. Hotels get done every year. If you can go to the next slide, just kind of show you how the city of Rockville is broken up, divided. Here's the way we have our city divided. Each inspector is assigned an area of responsibility, and they take care of everything inside that. That's property maintenance concerns, neighbor-on-neighbor complaints, rental inspections, commercial property inspections. So if it's in area 1, that inspector does everything in that area. It's not to say that we can't bring people in and out, but that's the primary area of responsibility. All right, so like all of us, like most of us, the pandemic, it impacted our rental property inspections pretty dramatically. At first, we were all sent home to do what we could do from home, mostly training, until we figured out what are we going to do. So at first, the city stopped all the inspections as far as property maintenance and the rental licensing inspections. And then we eventually did move to the virtual inspections, which if not all jurisdictions who are doing inspections, we've probably all moved to virtuals of some type in some way. The city building inspectors and fire marshals, they embraced the virtual inspection platform quickly. And with most new projects or whatever, there's always a learning curve. So we let them figure it out first on how to connect, how to get their inspections completed. I admittedly did not embrace the virtual inspection process. My fear was that we would miss something in the inspection, and then somehow either the city or we personally be responsible for something we missed in the house, and somebody got injured or worse. So pandemic hits, City Hall closes. There's no way to accept walk-in applications. The mail-in applications were taking a week to view. So we quickly developed an online application system. I'm not sure if everybody else, however the jurisdictions are doing it, but we hesitated for the longest time, but now the pandemic, forced us into rethinking. And I tell you, it's really taken off. Landlords hadn't been requesting this often for a long time, and well, we resisted, but now we do it. Everybody embraces it, and applications come in and go out quickly. It's quite amazing how it really kind of improved our systems. With the online application, we can now take credit card payments over the phone, and that was a big help as well. We no longer just had to take paper checks. We were able to take the credit cards, and again, that's something landlords wanted to do for a long time, and this pandemic now has allowed us to do that. Now with the online applications and basically me and my staff at home, dormant, we soon realized we were getting a pretty significant backlog of applications and uncompleted inspections. And we realized we had to do something. So my team and I were called back into the office. We were broken up into 2 teams for a while. Each team would come in every other day. So we were, so our office was half full because we all sit in a cubicle farm. So to break us up, to separate us, we came in every other day. We realized that really wasn't working either. So now we've fully embraced the virtual inspections. We do as little as possible in the office. We're equipped in the vehicles to access all the data we need, all the forms we need. So really anything we can do in the office, we can do in the field now. We've got the equipment. So it's like, there's no reason for anybody to be in the office. You can still do your job. So go out and do it. If we can go to the next slide, I think, so it's time to contact the, no questions yet. So we send a letter out. The next slide, I think, is the letter. So we sent out an email. When we came back to the office, we developed a letter letting people know there's an option to either do the virtual inspections or in person. And for the folks that were interested in the virtual inspection, we would send them this letter. So we sent out an email. They'd respond, yes, we're interested. We would follow it up with this instruction sheet on basically how to do it. And if you'll jump to the next slide, they also put together, well, I'm going to the checklist is where I'm going. We provided the respondents with the checklist. So they would get the instructions, as you see here, on how to log on and get it done. And then the checklist. And that's again, for the tenants to realize or to understand what we're looking for and help guide them through the process. Right now, we don't ask for that checklist back. If they want to give it to us, they can email it back to us, that's fine. But it's just for them to, as a guide, to help walk through the house. On the date of inspection, at this point now we know who we're going to do the inspection with. There's been some correspondence back and forth. Most landlords want us to do it with the tenants because they don't want to be in their units, and really tenants don't want them in there either. So by now we know who we're doing it with. We know when it's scheduled. At the appointed time, we make a phone call, and we rely on the respondent to use their smartphone. We guide them through the process. We ask them to walk us through their house. We ask them, let's go into the kitchen. Can you show me that the stove works? Can you turn on the water? I want to make sure the faucet doesn't leak. Can you show me under the sink base? Usually it's full of plastic bags and such, but we try to see whatever we can see as we would on a normal inspection. And I know, and earlier I said that I was concerned about missing items. I discussed this with my command staff, and they understand, even with the building inspectors and fire marshals, that if there's a great possibility something will be missed. As long as we do the best we can with the with the respondent, with the person we're doing the inspection with, and we're trying to look at everything we can and really focus on the life safety issues. That's really what we can't miss on. You know, a broken window pane, a loose tile, we'll get it next time if we have to. And of course, if the tenant wants to bring it to our attention, we can make that part of the note. But we know we're going to miss something. We shouldn't miss any of the big items, loose doorknobs, you know, creaky door. So the inspection's been completed. If I tell the tenant right then and there, or whoever I'm with, that the inspection either passed or failed, and usually through the course of the inspection, the conversation leads us to everybody know that if there's problems or not. But at the end, we go over it real quick. If there are any notices to follow, if there's violations to cite, those will be emailed out. We have gone mostly to a paperless system, so we're not mailing things out. Everything's done by email. And actually, we require the landlords to provide us email addresses for everybody on the application. So all notices go out via email. Any inspection will then be scheduled again with the same respondent. We'll work out a date and time with them to do a virtual inspection, re-inspection. Any license that goes out, we would let the tenant know that, you know, we're going to provide the license to the landlord, and the landlord will get it via email. We have discovered that now that we're really back in full swing with the virtual inspections, that we're almost back to where we were on a weekly basis on our numbers for inspections completed. They're still lower, but we're getting close. I wanted to go back to you know, the learning curve. Of course, with the younger generation, they know the technology, and boy, are they on it quick, lickety split, no problems there. It's the older generation that now have a smartphone and know how to make a phone call. That's all they know how to do. If I tell a quick story, I met with an elderly German woman via virtual, well, actually on the regular phone, and I was able to talk her through how to use the iPhone, her smartphone, and the video chat feature. And once we were done, she was so excited that she can now talk to her relatives overseas, and not just talk to them on the phone, but actually look at them and see them. And so she was very excited about that. And, you know, I felt good. You know, now I can help her connect with her family. But there's times when we do have to, there's a bunch of times where we have to teach folks how to use their phones. But mostly everybody's got a smartphone now, and everybody knows how to use the cameras. So it's not so much a problem now, but every once in a while we come across it.
Someone asked, and I didn't catch it either. Did you say what platform you're using?
No, I did not. We use FaceTime and Google Duo. Those are the only two platforms right now that our IT department allows us to use. I don't know many. I'm sure there's others, but FaceTime and Google Duo are the only two platforms at this time. In the introduction, I mentioned that we have 10 hotels in Rockville. All our hotels, motels are branded names, branded, you know, they're Sheraton's, Marriott's, Quality Inns. We don't have any mom and pop type hotels. And what's good about that is their housing quality inspections for their own brand is typically far more stringent than our inspections would be as far as the individual units. So I was able to convince my command staff that, you know, their HQI inspections are more stringent than ours, and I see no reason to interrupt their operations to do these virtuals. We still go into the mechanical rooms. We still go into the common areas. We'll still do the exterior inspections, but we do not go into the hotel rooms. we have, different style of apartments complexes in Rockville. Of course, you have, the 2-3 level garden apartment style. What we found is that the management will provide us a list of tenants and their phone numbers that we can contact directly on the date of inspection. And quite typically for the garden apartments, we're doing the inspections with the tenants. I don't know how you guys do it, but we pre-select what apartments we want to go into. So if we have an 800 unit community, they don't have to notify everybody and give us 800 contact information. We let them know well in advance what units we want to go into. So when it comes to the larger communities, what we found is that our inspector will wait outside. So let's say in the car, if it's a nice day, outside on the park bench, while the manager or their designee goes to the apartments, makes contact with the tenant. They wait outside. They ask the tenant to go test the smoke alarm. Here again, we know we're missing stuff. But primarily in our apartments, the only real issue we're going to have is with smoke alarms. So the tenant tests their smoke alarm while the agent and my inspector are FaceTiming, video chatting, and my guy can hear the smoke alarm go off. And it's not the best system, we know it, but at least we know that unit is protected by a smoke alarm and CO alarm. So like I said, our focus right now is life safety. We are looking into, I got a meeting at 1 o'clock with our city attorney to discuss property managers being able to self-certify that their units are violation free, that they're all covered with functioning smoke alarms and CO alarms if required. The reason being, our code says we have to perform inspections before we issue a license. I don't know if your code says that. Our building officials and fire marshal's office is concerned that if we just pass up these units and something tragic happens or there's an injury, that because we did not do an inspection, we could be held liable at some level. So by considering the self-certification, that would put the onus on the responsibility on the property manager to say their units have functioning alarms. Is it perfect? No. But when you got 800 units to go through, it's what we're seriously considering. I got a meeting today about that. And then part of that meeting is also to have them file an affidavit saying this was done virtually. This is done as a pandemic stopgap measure only. And this is not going to become commonplace once we all get back to work normal. These self-certifications will no longer be accepted. When discussing this presentation, I was talking to Jamie and learned about the toolkit. We're thinking about it. I think it's good. It's got potential. And there was a question about liability. Well, that's one of the reasons we want our legal department to think about it. Do we want to pass something off? But like Mr. Murphy said, we don't want to take the stuff home. We don't want it in our houses. We don't want it in our cars. So we would clean it up as well as it can be. The other part is we don't have the iPhones or the smartphones at this time to hand out. So we got to work with our IT department to see if that's something they would even consider. But for right now, the toolkit's just a thought. I like it. With all our buildings, apartment buildings, hotels, motels, we do check all the exteriors, no matter what goes on inside. We do the hallways, staircases. We want to make sure they all shut, latch, and lock, So we do all the typical interior common areas. That doesn't get passed up. All righty.
Got a couple comments.
Oh, let's do.
So in Hyattsville, for their licenses, the owner has the right to obtain the license when they apply, but we have the right to suspend or revoke if the corrections we find are not addressed by the due date. The other part of that is having an iPhone or an iPad is vital for working from the road. And I have to absolutely agree with that. You have to have some type of smart device to be able to, do what we're doing and work virtually and work from our cars, like you were saying, and not from our offices. And it's a completely different world. There are silver linings. I'm sure everybody has stories. We'll talk about that in the round table after this.
So all our staff have iPhones, iPads, anything we can do in the office, we can do from the road. The only thing, I can actually print a document in the field, although it prints off here. We don't have printers in the cars, but I can actually print off my documents in the cars. Right now, there's no reason for an inspector to come into the office. We embrace our staff going to the garage, picking up the car, and hitting the streets. So there are days I don't see any of my staff. I saw 3 of them this morning at 8 o'clock, and I won't see them till Monday now. Maybe not even Monday. But we're in constant communication. I noticed that we didn't get to my checklist. Here again, most of us are doing things the same way. There's only so many ways you can do a virtual inspection.
Hey, could you, Anthony or Todd, could you go through the slides to get to the checklist?
And I just want to show you that this is our checklist. We don't ask anybody to check it off. It's just for their information. A lot of people don't realize why we're there or what's the purpose of this, just like Dennis was saying, Mr. Murphy. And this helps them understand what we're looking for. And it makes it actually a little bit easier. All right, so I've done my presentation, I think. So what I'd like to do is offer you my business card. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, I got one for everybody here. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, give me a call.
Thank you, Chuck. We appreciate you lending a hand with this presentation. If it's okay with everyone, why don't we take a little break before we get started with the roundtable? So if anybody else has any questions or anything, the roundtable is going to be about, what kind of questions, what's working for you in this time, at this time, what's not working for you, suggestions or comments. So why don't we come back in, what do you say, Jamie, 10 minutes?
I've got one person saying they want to skip the break. I think, honestly, I need to get up and walk around just for a minute or two. So I would say let's, at 11:10, let's come right back.
5 minutes? Okay, that sounds great. Sorry, I just need to take a little break here for a minute.
Gotcha.
So for me, I'm going to sit where I am, and I can look at the Q&A. So if you want to speak with me via Q&A, happy to take your call.
This started, we were going to talk about, like Alice was saying, what programs or how you're doing business. I think that's a lot of people want to know how each city is doing business and functioning. I would assume that a lot of people have, I call it rolling back the restrictions, but it's actually, amping up restrictions again. So, your program could have changed in that way for these newer restrictions for recent surge. And so, so if anybody wants to raise their hand and talk about how their program is working right now.
Or it doesn't even have to be that. If you just have a question, you want to discuss something, an issue with your code that you need revisions and how you do things in different divisions or whatever, just raise your hand and we're all here to answer your questions for you.
Well, I'd also like to know from the group, is anybody else doing self-certification? I heard from a guy in California and the program that they started out there. So if anybody in our group is doing the self-certification for properties, I'd love to hear about it and how it's working and what forms you use, what documents, Anybody?
Nobody. Nobody's
Nobody.
raising. Oh, here we go. Can somebody let Paul in? Paul Falk?
Yeah, I'm unmuted now here. I'm with the city of Hagerstown. I can tell you how we do things. Our ordinance is a little bit different for rental programs. As far as we've only ever done the inspections while the property is vacant. We do them at tenant turnovers, no more frequent than every 4 years at our properties. So we haven't had to really modify any of our operations. The only thing that we've changed is 2 years ago, I changed the ordinance so that we could get in these units that people have not been reporting the turnovers because it's self-reporting. So we call them never inspected. We did suspend that right now because those are occupied units. I know that most of the jurisdictions here in Maryland do them when they're actually occupied, but in our jurisdiction, we only do them when they're vacant so that we can see everything and access everything that we need to get to for an inspection. So we really haven't changed anything like that. As far as complaint inspections, if someone called in an interior complaint at it, we try to take it for at its value. If it's your typical one where the tenant's just complaining because they're getting evicted, we're just reporting them to the owner, not doing the inspection. But if it is one where we feel that there's a safety situation or what they've reported is at a safety level, we will do that inspection in person with them. Of course, taking the proper precautions there with PPEs and stuff. We have multiple different PPEs here. And that's pretty much in anything exterior wise, we still do them the exact same. Any complaints about trash and things like that. We're similar to Rockville is that each inspector has their own zone and does the inspections for that zone. We just started in the month of December where we're kind of doing and as people in the office every other day, we broke into 2 teams as well, and half come into the office on one day and the other half goes directly to their vehicle and just performs their inspections. And then once they conducted their inspections, they remote from home and enter in their results into the computer, where the people in the office go out in the field during the day, but they can come back to the office and do their computer entry and printing notices and things of that nature.
Yeah, so our staff now do everything from the car. They're not allowed to go home. They can park somewhere in a city park and do some work and then move to another location and sit and enter some data and move to another location. Basically, we want our vehicles and our staff to be seen. So like I said, since we can do everything in the car, it's like there's no reason to go home. It's a lot slower. It takes much. It's much more cumbersome to do everything out of the car. But my command staff's okay with that. They want our presence. So it's like, okay, you come in, you don't go home until 3 o'clock.
Yeah, the field inspectors stay out till 1:30 in that day, but unfortunately we don't have iPads or anything like that in our vehicles, and our software program that we use does not have field capability, so it has to be entered from a desktop computer. So that they're in the field for typically 5 to 5.5 hours for the day. Sometimes that's more, even if they report it to the office.
Yeah, we actually have a rule here. You got to be out by 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and
You come in, you got to be out by 8.
yeah. And the city of Bowie, we haven't, we kind of have an unspoken rule where we're kind of trying to prevent as many people as we can in the office at one time. Some of us do have to come in for certain things like our rental inspectors, but some of us have changed our hours around. So right now we don't have our part-time officers working. So I actually work Sunday through Thursday. So that gives me the opportunity to come in on Sundays and be in the office and do all the paperwork and filing that I need to do to maintain everything. So that helps as well if you have that flexibility where you're working.
And I will add to that. So our IT department within, a week, got a program called ConnectWise, I believe that it's available online. I don't believe it's something that you have to purchase. I don't have a lot of information, but it is called ConnectWise. And we basically have everybody signed up with that program, and it allows them to remotely control their desktop computers from any computer that has Wi-Fi. Now you have to, there's an authentication like an RSA, but it's not an RSA token. It's actually something they put on their phone. So the authentication is through the city, and it's slow. Don't get me wrong. Just like Chuck said, everything is slower working remotely. I think we've all kind of felt that. But the fact is, they don't have tablets or computers in their cars either. We don't have those capabilities right now. So this gave them the access from home or from another computer. And it was a fast rollout, but it's been working very well. And again, it's a program that basically gets you to control your desktop computer remotely, like your IT people do when you have a problem on your computer and they want to, remote into your computer. It's basically the same thing. But the challenge there is pictures, right? You take pictures with your phone or you take pictures with your camera, whatever it may be. If you can't pull them from the cloud, then you are not able to download anything to your hardware because it's not going to go into the city computer. It's going into your personal computer. There's challenges, but we've been able to make it work. So we've been sending, people have been sending emails to themselves with pictures attached. But that is something, if your city is small and doesn't have the kind of funds that some of these other cities have to have those capabilities, you might want to look into ConnectWise and see if that's something that your IT department wants to look into.
I saw also a show and tell, iPhone, iPad, and we VPN in if to our desktop here, and I have access to every program, every app, our data tracking system. I can work from my car in any application, any database that we have.
I'm not seeing any other hands. If anybody wants to speak, this is the time we can have you speak if you want. All you have to do is raise your hand. I think if you go down to, hover over the middle, you can raise your hand and we can let you in to speak. Otherwise, I'm not sure if we have much more open table discussion. If does anybody else on the panel have anything they want to discuss?
I'm just really curious how other people are doing their multifamily dwellings, their larger complexes, and the self-certification if they are.
So we'll include that in the wrap up. Let me put my video back on. I have several things written down that we need to. We're going to have this wrap up email, and so that'll go to the entire membership because this way they know what happened at the meeting if they weren't able to attend or forgot or whatever it may be. And then, the people who want a copy of the program, we're going to ask that they email us back if they want a copy of the recording. And, we can work from that email. Like I said, just with this platform, I don't have another way of communicating with everyone other than those mass emails that we were talking about. So we'll do that wrap up email next week, and I'll make sure all of the notes from the comments and questions and answers here are included, and that is included. Chuck, you said multifamily units.
And the self-certification, if anybody else is doing it. And how's it working?
Got it.
Thanks.
Well, I guess since we don't have any more questions or anybody raising their hand, I guess we can sign off and end the meeting. I want to thank Chuck and Dennis and Alice and Pamela and Derek and IT. Thank you so much for helping us with everything. And we will make sure to, and I'll make a note of that, Mr. Hicks. I'll make sure that we have your correct email in Perryville. I don't know if anyway, we'll get it. I think if anybody has anything else to say, I'm going to give one more chance, and then we're going to sign off for the day. Hearing nothing. All right. Well, thank you everyone for
Crickets.
attending. I'm sorry for the different way of doing this, but this is our world, right? So
It's normal.
we
I
will
think
be right.
everything went well. But
We will be sending out that email next week, and then we hope to have another meeting, like Alice said, in maybe late January, early February time. And then hopefully we'll know a little bit better where we are. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day and a great weekend and a great Christmas and holidays.
Thank you.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you for being patient. This is all new to us as well. First Zoom meeting that we're doing like this as an organization. So thank you for being patient, everyone.
It looks like you got one more question.
We do. So the membership renewals, when will the membership renewals go out? I think that will be next week as well, Alice.
That will be with the mass email. So it's going to be either several small emails or one big one. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right. Let me see.
We have one hand raised for Anna Palmer.
Anna, go ahead and let her in. Your mic's off, Anna. Todd, can you control her mic?
I can mute it, but I cannot unmute it. I've asked her to unmute her mic.
There, good. Nope.
Sorry.
Yeah, Jamie, I just want to say bye. That's all.
Oh. Thanks, Anna. All right, everyone. Thank you again. We'll see you soon. Have a safe holiday season.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, I'm out. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Chuck. Really appreciate it.
How many ums did I get in?
Did you hear how many?
Not as many as me.
Okay.
Mine were way more.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.